Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Saturday, March 16th, 2019, and it is Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld. Tonight's topic, Bernie on Beto, Bix, and this guy. Alright, well, since it's Saturday night, we don't have any gold or silver to report on, but I will tell you where we ended the week. Gold and silver. Gold managed to hold its head above $1,300 at $1,302.30. Silver kept above 15 at $15.26. Platinum at $8.28. And palladium still leading the charge, out in front at $1,532, unless you consider rhodium, which is trading at $3,000 per ounce. All right, let's get into some of the stories, and then we've got Bernie in studio. Bernie was out. He was supposed to be on last night, but he banged his head. But we'll have him a little bit later on in the program to discuss his potential rival, Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke. Let's take a look at some of the crypto stories and the crypto prices before we head into studio with Bernie. So Bitcoin just about at $4,000. Climbed above that early in the day, at least on Coinbase. Other exchanges, it's still above $4,000. Right now, it's at $39.88. That's up 2.25%. Ethereum at $140, up 4%. Litecoin pulled out ahead to $60, is now at $60.85. That's up nearly 5% in the last 24 hours. And Bcash, Bitcoin Cash, having a big move to $155, up 7.27%. Let's take a quick look at the crypto story before we get into our interview with Bernie and also our review of some more comments on my interview with Sean at SGT Report. Got a lot of attention. Very emotional. A lot of people have adopted silver. They don't just own it. They have adopted it and they defend it. Anything that appears to be a slight, well, it is kill the messenger. Definitely some people very unhappy with Smaulgld's interpretation of why the gold-silver ratio, including none other than Bix. We are also felt compelled to do a video to combat my ignorance. So let's take a look at the cryptos. Bitcoin, as we mentioned, over $4,000. There it is. You're starting to see the mainstream media pick up on it again. This is in Forbes. Bitcoin suddenly above $4,000. This is all in anticipation of either a Bitcoin ETF being launched, I believe, or Backed getting off the ground. Backed is that consortium between Microsoft, Boston Consulting, Starbucks, and the New York Stock Exchange owner, ICE, Intercontinental Exchange. Interesting note here, this is not Hester Prince, Hester Prynne, whatever her name is. This is another woman from the SEC saying crypto spring is going to come. They really want to put this regulatory environment into place so they can help out, I believe, the Wall Street crowd that wants to profit from a regulated Bitcoin cryptocurrency environment. As they say, it is coming. What else in cryptocurrencies? Yesterday or 2 days ago, we talked about how the CBOE group had canceled its Bitcoin futures, and we speculated that either they had lost out to the CME group or they were going to focus now on their Bitcoin ETF that they have pending with Van Eck. That's going to happen no matter what. Maybe they thought they didn't want to also be operating a Bitcoin futures exchange while they're also operating an ETF. But in any event, the CME says they've got no issues with their own Bitcoin trading platform, no plans to stop it. In fact, they had a press release earlier in the week that said that their volume for Bitcoin futures is up 19% in the first quarter over the last quarter of 2018. All right, let's see what else we got. A little Chinese news. We're always looking at China. There's still that debate, not debate, but trade war going on with China. We don't have a deal yet. And the U.S. is going to appoint someone to the World Bank, and that person is of the view that China should not be getting World Bank loans. I mean, those are generally reserved to emerging markets. If China is the second largest economy in the world, there hardly should be considered a emerging market that is in need of some type of international aid. And it says calls for focus on poor nations, the bank's next likely chief that'll be appointed under Obama. And can't Not a day goes by when there's not some story about Chinese propaganda. Earn points by watching videos of President Xi. And there's an app, and I guess if you use it, you must earn some type of social credit. If you go online and you look at it and you see all the wonderful things that China is doing, and I wonder if those points can be exchanged for gold-backed yuan. Not quite sure, but I'm sure it is a game changer. Yes, indeed. By the way, tomorrow night is St. Patrick's Day. I will be taking the night off. Don't worry. Seamus will be filling in. He'll be filling in. I don't know why he wanted to work on St. Patrick's Day, but I guess it's a point of pride for Seamus McGee, and he will be doing the show tomorrow night. I will be taking the night off. Now, we have, well, I don't know if we, yeah, I think we do. I really think what we have here is not a good thing. And this comes from an economist who supposedly is intelligent. He's got a Nobel Prize, but I'm not quite sure that some of the stuff he says makes sense. Uh-oh, we got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
Now, Paul Krugman, Nobel Prize winner, who said when Trump won that the stock market would crash and would perhaps never recover. We all know what's happened since Election Day. His prediction was entirely off base. He also said that the internet, what's the big deal? We'll find one day in a couple of years that the internet's impact on the economy was no bigger deal than the fax machine. He also suggested the way we can handle the debt is U.S. Mint mints up $1 trillion platinum coin and then submits it to the Treasury. Game over, game solved. I don't know. Well, now he's saying he expects to see a global recession this year. It says we don't have an effective response. So I said, try sending an image of $1 trillion platinum coin by fax to the Fed. All right, I think it's time now to bring on Bernie, because Bernie, he's feeling chipper. I spoke to him earlier in the pre-interview, and he's ready to go. So let's let me just adjust my chair here and turn over to Bernie. Bernie, it's good to have you tonight.
Thank you for having me. Sorry, the other night I wasn't able to join you. I hit my head coming out of the shower.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Are you okay?
Yeah, everything is fine. I'm back on the trail, and I just want to let everybody know, I'm going to be wearing a bandage, but everything is fine.
Okay, Bernie, the reason we wanted to have you on was we had discussed perhaps you giving us your point of view on the many Democratic candidates that are running for president.
Well, yeah, but I think tonight I really want to focus just on Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke.
Okay. Why do you want to focus on him?
Well, I think he's got a lot of promise, and, he's written a couple of poems, and I'm a writer too. And I think what I want to do tonight is, well, first of all, I want to apologize to you, because the other night I said to you, I don't know who the hell you are. And now I see that you're famous on the internet. You're famous as this guy.
Yeah, that's right. The other night, Bernie, this guy. Yeah, we're going to get into that later in the program, Bernie, and I think you're well aware of the backstory there, where I talked about this gold-silver ratio, and a lot of people were very upset with me, and they called me this guy.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing when people recognize you, even if it's a bad thing, because that's how you get your name out there, and if you're this guy, then that's good. All right, so what I wanted to do, I thought maybe because I like Robert, I like Beto. I think that we need more people that are interested in poetry and the arts than people who are just into money and becoming part of the 1%. So I thought it's a tribute to Beto O'Rourke and his candidacy that I'd read you one of his poems. Is that okay?
Yeah. I wanted to get some analysis on what you think of it.
Well, you'll see. Well, you'll admire him when you hear this poem, because he wrote it under a pen name called the Psychedelic Warlord. But it's actually Beto.
Okay, if that's how you want to spend your time with me, please go ahead.
All right. So the name of the poem is "The Song of the Cow," and it goes like this: I need a butt shine right now. You are holy, O sacred cow. I thirst for you, provide milk. Buff my balls. Love the cow, good fortune for those that do. Love me, breathe my feet, the cow is risen. Wax my ass, scrub my balls. The cow has risen, provide milk. Oh, milky wonder. Okay, I'm hold on. I'm not sure that this is a family-friendly show. You say Beto or Rourke wrote this? That's right. Wax my ass, scrub my balls. It's Bernie. We heard it the first time. Buff my balls. Bernie. Okay. All right. Bernie, good night. Sorry, we had to cut him off there. I can't have that on the show if that is what he is going to do. All right. Well, I don't know why he wanted to read Beto O'Rourke on the show here, but I'm starting really now to second guess having Seamus on tomorrow night unsupervised. I didn't expect a poetry reading from Bernie Sanders. All right, so let us now take a look at I'm still stunned at that poem there. Buff my balls. Okay, let's go through now some more comments. So here's what happened. We last night we went through all these comments. This guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy, what's he talking about with silver? Silver set to skyrocket. He doesn't understand. Well, we got a few more, and then we had the famous Bix Weir. Bix Weir came out and said that that he was well, we'll see. Basically, what Bix did, we did a video instead of like just leaving a comment under Sean's video. He did an entire video with some of the same inane comments of some of the comments. We're gonna go through a few more here. Let's see this one here. Metals Crypto did not enjoy the one bit this interview. Guileless, clueless. Okay, very nice. A little expletive there. There's a lot of emotion here. De La Ville, one of our Smaulgld game changers and mug stackers, she says, take the emotion out of it. Lewis makes a great argument. I don't even know why there's emotion in this at all. I'm not even putting some of the comments up here. They got very mad, very personal. All I did was try to explain why the gold-silver ratio was as high as it was. Well, that was akin to insulting their mother and their father all in one and kicking their dog while I was at it. My goodness. Now, this one is a very interesting one. Wow. First time I've ever heard that take on silver out of the alt media. That's because the alt media is one big echo chamber of nonsense making up stories about silver. Then, now you're almost obligated to interview someone to talk about Lewis's comments. Why? The comments, they make them all the time. They don't have to bring someone on to refute me. They just have to keep repeating the same stuff that they always repeat. I wonder what Dwayne would have to say. Oh, Dwayne might say something about this. Or David Morgan. Gasp. Maybe David Morgan might say something about this. Now, then it gets religious here, which makes sense, I guess. Personally speaking, as someone who believes in my Savior, Jesus Christ, and spends time in the Bible, God and his Son have always considered gold and silver as money and precious, hence so will I. Okay, so the gold-silver ratio has something to do with God and his Son considering gold and silver as money. I guess that's what they got out of the Bible. It's thousands of pages, but it's all about gold and silver. All right, so you can see where you're coming. You really are. You're insulting something that's near and dear to people. When, in fact, I didn't even insult silver. I just explained why it was valued less than gold. But guy is clueless. You need equal time. Oh, what else here? Well, now here's the other one. I tried to engage some of them today. It's useless. I'll take the word and work of Kirby, Holter, Sinclair, and Gerald. And I said, why? Because they have been correct about the direction? No, because silver is traditionally a precious metal. Okay. I never said silver wasn't a precious metal.
Fiat value is of no matter to me. Oh, hold on. This is the one. Like, you got to look at the one before this. This one you don't understand unless you look at it in context. Here's the one. The same guy though. Okay. There is a reason that J.P. Morgan is holding 500 million plus ounces of physical silver. Just repeats that. No proof of that whatsoever. Whether it is for use as money or electronics, I don't care. That is all I need to know. I can afford to acquire a little silver now and again. Thanks for throwing that in there. And I say, how do you know that J.P. Morgan is holding 500 million plus ounces of silver? Public record, he says. Okay, direct me to such record. And you don't hear anything back because there is no public record. I think he then wrote back Bloomberg. I don't know what that means. And then Bloomberg. There's nothing in Bloomberg that says J.P. Morgan has 500 million ounces. But then back to the old, I'll take the word of Ron Kirby, Bill Holter, Jim Sinclair, Gerald Salenti over this person. He didn't say this guy. And I say, why? Because they've been correct about the direction of gold-silver ratio the past 8 years? No, because silver is traditionally a precious metal. And as I said, I never said it wasn't. Fiat values of no matter to me. An ounce of silver will always be an ounce of silver. That is so profound. And a mug will always be a mug. And a cat will always be a cat. And a dog will always be a dog. Very interesting. No matter how much fiat paper I use to acquire it. Okay, so this is akin to this whole measure your wealth in ounces, right? There's measure your wealth in ounces, but then bitch about the fiat price all day. And then he says, you evidently can't see the wall in front of your face. And I said, yeah, because I'm too busy looking for the public record on where it says J.P. Morgan has 500 million ounces of silver. But these guys, they argue the same way Bix does, and you could tell they've probably watched a few too many of his videos. That's this one. This guy. Oh, here's one. This guy. Yeah. There's another new one that came up after last night. Nobody's investing in silver anymore. Quote. Which, I don't know where you got that quote, because I didn't say that. Hang on. The U.S. Mint just ran out of silver eagles due to higher investor demand. LOL. No, the U.S. Mint didn't run out of silver eagles because high investor demand. They ran out of silver eagles because they're mismanaged and they didn't order enough blanks from the Sunshine Minting Company, and a couple of other mints went out of business, so there weren't any other companies to fill the void. LOL. This guy's a nut job. This guy's a nut job. Yeah. He knows silver is, everyone is buying silver. There's a new one. This guy's a fool. This one, I like this one. This guy is a fool. All silver maple leaves have a value, and a special hologram security. Y'all don't know crap. I'm not sure why he's telling me about the silver maple leaves having value and that they have a hologram. I know that. And no one said silver maple leaves don't have value. Okay, here comes the coup de grace. Silver can't be circulated. It's over. That's it. Silver will be extinct, worth more than gold, you fools. Oh, okay. Guess Bix Weir taught on that one too. I don't think people really realize how important silver is to humanity. So it's either Jesus, a God, and his son Jesus have decided this, or it's so important to humanity. Do you realize the extent of silver derangement syndrome you have here? That people actually hold silver in this regard. So that you can't say, and this really, it's sacrilegious to say something that indicates that maybe silver isn't almighty, isn't all powerful, isn't going to save humanity, isn't the choice of God the Father and Jesus. This is nonsense to have this type of silver derangement syndrome. But that's what you're dealing with, it seems to be. There's more of this guy. And Bix has a this guy moment too. We're going to get to him in a minute. Yeah, knowing a lot of facts about precious metals doesn't mean the conclusions are correct. This guy is way off base. Yeah, this guy. All right, let's see what else we got for this guy. Go one more, this guy. Oh, that's the same one, this guy. All right, let's move on now to Bix Weir, who decided he was going to tell his followers how I'm clueless and I don't understand what's going on. All right, let's just see here. Pull up his his comments. So he did a video. Buy silver. I love how people get away. They just make recommendations. Yeah, buy silver. Silver gold ratio should be 1-to-1, not 85-to-1, according to Bix. I mean, that's all that matters. The insanity of the market manipulation in silver has made investors around the world totally clueless. And he's including me in that. He specifically says, I'm clueless because I'm myopic and not focusing on the right things. Okay, and he's been saying this for years, and I'm not sure why you'd start to believe him now, because the silver price has gone nowhere. In fact, it's gone down since 2007. Okay, and our friend Joe Lazaro points out Bic was hyping Shemitah. Remember Shemitah was going to be game over? I've seen many Bixware videos where this summer they're gonna collapse the system. 2015. It's game over in 2016. The banksters are gonna do this, but the good guys are gonna do that. It's always some story. Something's gonna happen. Buy silver at 60-to-1. It's so undervalued. Then it goes to 85-1. It should be 1-to-1. I mean, following the logic here, I'm not. I don't understand any of this. Calling for the end of the dollar in 2015, says Joe Lazaro. Joe is a Smaulgld mug stacker and game changer. And then Kennedy Financial called him out, and he said, Bix is the king of saying things we all wish were true. Yeah, wonderful, Bix, wonderful. Measure your wealth in ounces, but bitch about the fiat price constantly. And, of course, before we get to his comments, there is reality, and, of course, there's reality according to what Bix wants reality to be. So let's get into his comments. But first, before we do that, I do want to let you know, you guys asked and I delivered. We now have Smaulgld, this guy mugs. If you're interested, I'll leave you the link and you can purchase those directly from this Smaulgld store. This guy, Smaulgld mugs, attractively priced at $18.95 plus shipping. I'm not shipping these. These are made at the manufacturers. There is the link. This guy, Smaulgld mugs. All right, let's get into what Bix said. I don't want to give him too much attention here. All right. He goes on the video. You can watch it if you want. It's not really worth your time. He says, this guy, he did say this guy, and he said it a few times. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's myopic. And then he made a couple of arguments, which are hard to follow, but let's try to break them down. He says, Lewis says, don't buy silver because countries and central banks aren't buying it and they're not interested in it. Now, okay, let's think about that. I did say that central banks don't buy silver. That was not my primary argument as to why silver doesn't have value. In fact, it's not even a primary argument why gold has value. Gold has value because it has investment profile, which includes central bank demand. But the central bank demand is a very small percentage of the overall demand. It's about 10%, even at its elevated levels last year, of overall gold demand. And I point out that silver has its overall the demand profile for silver is only about 10-12% in total for investment purposes, and most of it's for industry and jewelry and silver, and then there's a little bit for investment. And I said that central banks do buy gold, but they don't buy silver. His response is, oh no, central banks and countries, it's a complete opposite, he said. They are interested in keeping the price down because, quote, they know storing silver as a store of value would immediately get them blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system, comma, Lewis, you should know this, but he doesn't get it, end quote. Now, why would I know that countries and central banks know themselves that if they were to buy silver, which they don't, that they would immediately get blown off the face of the earth because the reason is silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. And I should know this. I have no idea what he's talking about. First of all, he's admitting they don't buy silver. Okay, well, That's admitting that there's a source of demand that doesn't exist. He's also admitting they're not going to do it. All right? So then why would I ascribe any value to silver, which is hypothetical for countries and central banks who aren't going to do it because they get blown out of the water? First of all, I don't even know where he comes up with that. That's his opinion. I've never seen the minutes of the BIS, the IMF, of countries or central banks sitting around saying, we'd like to buy silver, but we're not going to do it. Okay. Then he says, silver isn't, here's the reason silver isn't one-to-one. Silver is not one-to-one because manipulation. And people who have studied silver know that. But this guy, Lewis, myopic Lewis, he says, doesn't get that. I've studied silver, and I see no reason for it to be one-to-one. I see no reason for countries or central banks to buy it. He says they don't buy it because they know that if they do buy it, somehow that would destroy the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Everyone knows that. Then he says, central banks are not storing silver, so it must not be a store of value, attributing that quote to me. And that's not what I said. I just said central banks don't buy it. What I did say about it being a store of value is historically it has not been anywhere near the store of value that gold has been. And I have data to prove that. It's obvious. All you have to do is go and look at the price of gold and the price of silver the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. Just go back. Silver is not the same store of value that gold is. Then he says, here's why they hold gold. Because there's a lot of it. That's why they hold gold. And they don't hold silver because they would destroy the fiat monetary system if they did. Now, I don't even know how you can even prove that. He can't prove that that's why they don't hold silver. But he's undercutting himself because he's saying they don't do it. Well, if they don't do it, that means they don't hold it, which means there's a source of demand that isn't there. That's my point. Central banks do buy gold. It's not the primary reason why gold is more valuable than silver, but it is one of the components of demand for gold that central banks buy it. And the investment demand for silver is low. And he has a reason why the investment demand for silver is low. It's because the price is being suppressed. Now, I somewhat agree with him on this, that people do chase, at least in the United States, they chase prices higher. So he's saying that because the price is low, people aren't buying. Well, generally when the price of something is low, people buy it when it's low. We know Indians increase their gold and silver purchases when the price is lower. So I'm not quite sure. But then he says he's clueless about the industrial demand. No, I'm not. I study the industrial demand all over the place. I know what the figures are. I know what the last 10 years look like for industrial use, for solar panels, for electronics, and so on. And he mentions the fact that solar panels are now a new form of demand for silver, which I don't agree. And he also mentioned, which we've mentioned on this channel before, that California has mandated that new home construction starting next year will require silver. Point I've made constantly, even made it on the SGT report. Probably didn't finish listening to it. He's probably enraged hearing that I wasn't worshiping silver. I mentioned that silver, perhaps, its biggest potential for growth is not catching a monetary bid, but catching a bid for its commodity purpose. And I mentioned, like, if we have a Green New Deal or some deviant thereof, and including the California law that requires silver to be solar panels to be used, that silver will, may have additional demand that may not be able to be met with current supply, and they'll just have to raise the price. And I've mentioned many times that when the price of silver rises, you don't see electronics manufacturers necessarily balk at it. They just pay. So I guess I'm in agreement there, but it's almost like he's telling me something I don't know, and he's making it sound like I didn't know this and that I didn't include it, which is not true. And I don't, what else did he say? Silver is not useful because the price is suppressed. I don't know what that means. Anyway, that's what it is. Probably the last time ever. I did ask Bix Weir to come on the show if he'd like to discuss it. I asked a few of the commentators in under the SGT report under Bix's video. If they want to come on and rant and rave or tell me what they think, I'll question them. I'm willing to listen. But when people say things like central banks and countries don't buy gold because they know that storing silver as a store of value would get immediately blown off the face of the planet because silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Lewis, you should know this. I don't know that. I don't think you know that. I don't think anyone knows that. But even if it's all true, according to your own assertion, they're not going to buy silver, which means there's a part of demand that isn't there. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. This guy. Let's see what else we got over here. Hope you like the mugs. This guy Mug says nomadic diesel. Adoption, Scott. Roger says, hey, it's that guy. Roger says, Lewis, you must be a shill because I saw some of those comments from the woke experts on the university YouTube. Prashanti Girl is here. The two Aussies. Roger the counterfeiter. Yes, that's right, Scott. Only in Australia. The Fed actually does the good here. Okay. Prashanti Girl says, thinking of ordering one of your Australian-made mugs. So she wants to also be a accessory to counterfeiting and buy one of Roger's cheap plastic knockoff Smaulgld hyper classic mugs. I'm not even going to dignify them today. The mug for sale tonight is the Smaulgld this guy mug, not some plastic cheap Australian mug that you use to feed kangaroos and koalas out of. All right. Bernie, did that bump to your head knock some sense into you? Asked Roger. All right. He's gone. I had to cut him off. He starts talking about the cow's balls or what. I don't know what he was saying. Joe Lazaro. Bernie is getting old and losing his balance. Beto's performance where he was waving his arms around looked to me like he wanted to avoid being called low energy. Yeah, well, he was waving his arms around, that's for sure. Ian makes a good point here. The Dems are going to split the ticket worse than the Republicans did. Yeah, and you know what's interesting in retrospect, if you look at what the Republicans did, going into that, the front runners were, I would say, Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. And maybe that was how they planned it. Jeb would be the president and candidate, and Marco Rubio would be the vice president candidate. All perfectly formed. You got a Bush, you've got a guy from Florida, Hispanic. You know, that's kind of the textbook way the Republican Party might look at it. Trump threw them off. Now, I would say today they're probably looking at some combination of, I don't even know what they're looking at. They have very many candidates, but none of them is really dominant. Biden has probably got the most, quote, stature, but it's going to be difficult because the difference is, I think, in the 2016 Republican primary, no one really stood out or even tried to. The only one who did was Trump, and they all just tried to knock him down. I don't think you're going to get a front runner, and they're all going to be trying to much harder than the Republicans did. I don't think the Republicans thought that Trump would do as well as he did, and by the time he was doing well, it was too late to put up a challenge. But I think when you have Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Beto O'Rourke, Cory Booker, you've got tons of them. They're all going to be out there, I think, trying to outdo each other, which is going to make for a bit of a spectacle, I believe. So you're right, Ian. I think they will split the ticket a lot worse. Scott's looking forward to Seamus tomorrow night. Roger says, Smaulgld, what's better than being calling this guy or that guy? I don't know. De La Ville is in. Scott Wardell, Beatles split the difference with their This Boy song. Yeah. Okay, Roger says there is emotion in it because those guys spent their children's college funds buying silver because Mike Maloney said so. They have survival bunkers full of silver, tins of dog food, and ammo. I understand that, but the difference is, if you want to analyze silver, you have to analyze it versus gold. That's what one of the main tenets of what they say. the silver pumpers is that the gold-silver ratio is unsustainable, and it should be, I mean, you saw the headline, it should be 1-to-1. They range from 16-to-1, 15-to-1, 9-to-1 is how much it comes out of the ground, 16-to-1 is the historic ratio, 1-to-1 is some pie-in-the-sky thing. And I point out relative rarity is not dispositive of price all the time. And I give the example of platinum is 10 times rarer than gold, and gold is still more expensive, so can't just say relative rarity. I mentioned why 16-to-1 was set by government, because they were both considered officially designated as official currency. So in order to have a bimetallic standard, they had to set some type of ratio. And then I mentioned today that they have different demand profiles, that silver's investment demand is 10-12% and gold is 40-45%, including some of that, which is in central banks. That's all I said. That's what I pointed out. I didn't call anyone a name for buying silver. I didn't even say silver wasn't. I never said silver wasn't useful. In fact, I said silver was useful as a commodity. I said silver has a monetary component that will catch fire if gold's monetary component catches fire. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear that the gold-silver ratio that they're holding on to, their lottery ticket is silver $1,000. Gold will be $1,000, silver will be $1,000. That is game over, game changer. Silver has many uses. It's indispensable to humanity and to Jesus. Unbelievable the amount of... They attach so much significance to silver. I remember when the United States 3 months ago, last year sometime, came out with a list of strategic metals and silver wasn't on. It's like, oh, they don't understand. So this is what happens when you have silver derangement syndrome. You actually start to believe the world revolves around silver. It doesn't. But it's a good point, Roger. Jack, Lewis, I listened to it and it was a great realistic perspective where we are today. And a lot of people just like positive affirmation about the markets, especially now. I understand that. You're right, Jack. People love to hear... but this is a different, this is an extreme, because actually I wasn't even negative on silver. I was pointing out why the gold silver ratio is where it is. I mean, imagine what if I just went out and said silver is worth, in fact, Bix opened up his video and he corrected himself because he realized I didn't say that. He said something like, and Lewis said, silver is worthless. Or silver's not worth anything, or is useless, or whatever. Might even say that, but that's how they take it. It's like if you tell somebody that their kid did okay, and they think their kid is a genius. They hear, you called my son a moron. It's like, no. The guy said, your kid did okay today on the test. You got a 75. They hear, you called my kid like challenge, and that's how they look at it. Anything that isn't 100% praise for silver, doesn't assign all of the blame on the Rothschilds and the powers that be and manipulation, and they lose it. I did realize this, but it's good to get reminded when you go on a channel where maybe 60% of the people actually think like that, because they have been indoctrinated for years into this narrative. And it's funny is the longer it goes on, you would think you'd start to peel away some people. They always say that the people go nuts in crowds and then they become sane one by one. I guess that's what's happening, because the people there demanding, they got to hear from Chris Duane and Ted, they got to hear from Ted Butler and Morgan. And it's not like these guys are going to come on there and I don't know, there's nothing I said to refute. I mean, Bix didn't refute. If you think about what Bix said, he didn't refute anything. He repeated my contention that there is a industrial demand for silver. I never said there wasn't. I said that's probably its best hope for it to rise. He mischaracterized what I said about central banks. I said, well, actually, he agreed with me. He said they don't buy it. And I said, no, they don't buy it. And he said, but he gave a reason why they don't buy it, which is his own opinion, because they know that if they were to store silver as a store of value, they'd immediately get blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone of running the unbacked monetary system. Lewis, you should know this. I have no idea what that means. But he didn't refute my point that central banks don't buy silver. And that is one of the components of value. So that's factual what I said, but he said I was being myopic. All right, what else do we have here? Roger's talking about mugs. Prashanti girl, I love the comment analysis. Too fun, but for the grace of sanity, there go I. I understand, but it truly is silver derangement syndrome. And you see it when people fall in love with an asset. Gold derangement syndrome, Bitcoin derangement syndrome. They don't want to hear anything about... And some guy was trying to tell me that really because now that I have a platform, which is what, 3,800 subscribers, hardly a platform, that it should be my life's goal to crush Bitcoin. Like, what does that have to do with anything? So they believe in their asset. And if you believe that silver is antithetical to gold, which some people do, silver and gold are antithetical to Bitcoin, which some people do. Bitcoin is antithetical to gold, which some people... that somehow you have to defend your asset at all cost and against all criticism. I see it all the time. Pablo is here. He's at the gym. Gym closes early today. All right. D. Cheerin, hey man, you're awesome. SGT held your own. Joe Lazaro, those people also believe the unsourced gold-backed yuan rumors, while this guy was the only one questioning the story. That's yours truly, this guy, Lewis, from Smaulgld. I can sense a pumper story a mile away. JP Morgan has all this silver. Says who? They all believe it. They actually believe it so much that it's so factual that they LOL after saying it. Yeah, like JP Morgan isn't stacking 500 million ounces of silver. Who's this idiot, Lewis? Who's this guy? Yep, Bix put words in my mouth. I don't mind, but when I look at it, what I realize he's doing, he's rallying the troops. He realizes there's been an attack on silver. Hardly. But if you think of what his response is that I said that central banks and countries aren't interested in silver and therefore it doesn't have value. It's not what I said. But underlying that is somewhat similar to what I said, because he says it's the complete opposite. They're interested in it. He said that I said they weren't interested in silver. I never used the word interested. I said they don't buy it. He said it's the complete opposite. They're interested in keeping the price down, says he, because they know that storing silver, I got to keep repeating this, as a store of value would get immediately blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone of running the unbacked monetary system. Lewis, you should know this, but he just doesn't get it. I'm shaking my head, he says. Back at you, Bixo. All right. Roger Henley, silver is important to humanity because God said so, fact, period. Essentially, and what's interesting is, they also say in the same breath, some of them, they're kind of confused, that in the Bible it's gold and silver. It's like, okay. I have not seen in the Bible, and it says, and therefore henceforth shall the gold-silver ratio be 1-to-1. Prophesizing Bix Weir. They don't talk about ratios. And again, I never said that silver wasn't a precious metal. All I did was compare the two. Sean asked the question, why is the gold-silver ratio, quote, out of whack? And I said, it's not. Why is JP Morgan buying silver? I said, I don't think that they are. But what about the rarity of silver? It's like, what about it? Those are the three things that they hold dear. The gold-silver ratio is out of whack. It comes out of the ground at 9-to-1, and therefore the price should be 9-to-1. And silver is money, period. And I don't know. They just never stop. Ian, don't usually listen live. Just want to tell everyone thanks for being here. And I heard all your names before. I feel like we're all in the same boat. All right. A little okay. Let's see. Roger Bix is a fanatist, and I've told him so many times. Maybe that's why I've been banned on his channel. Well, I know he took out the question. At one point, he took the comment section out, but he's put it back up. I don't know. I can understand. I mean, there are a lot of people making bad bad comments, so he didn't want to deal with it. Makes sense. Although I did ask him to come on the show. So, I mean, if he wants to explain to me how central banks being interested but not buying somehow helps the price. Well, his point is it doesn't help the price. It helps keep the price down. Okay, that's my point. The price is down. But he's saying, well, the price should be higher. Well, then he would mean, well, because central banks are going to buy it? No, because if central banks were to store silver as a store of value, that would get immediately blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Lewis, you should know this. It's all circular. Either way, silver doesn't go higher. They want to buy silver, but they don't buy silver. Okay, because they don't buy silver, the price doesn't go higher. But they want to buy silver. No, they don't, he says. They want to keep the price down. They have an interest in keeping the price down. Okay, well, that's what the price is. The price is down. That's my point. The price is down. Should be higher. Why would it be higher? Because central banks are going to buy it? No. He's already said if central banks were to start storing silver as a store of value, they would immediately get blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Louis, you should know this. Oh, it's because central banks aren't going to buy it because they want to keep the price down. Yeah. All right, well, that's what they're doing now, and the price is down. So why should the price be higher? Because central banks want to buy it? No, because if central banks buy it and start storing silver as a store of value, they would immediately get blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Louis, you should know this. Don't you see there's no way out of this? The price is low, and I'm proving why the price is low. He may not like that. I may not like, you may not like that. That's where we are. The price is where it is and has been versus gold for the longest time. Okay. Scotty O, I got a lot of watching Bix video, by the way. I got a LOL watching Bix video, by the way. He only makes sense if you want to believe what he's saying. I'm sorry. It's not you want to believe what he's saying. You want to believe in the conclusion that silver should be higher. You don't have to follow any reasoning because there's very little of it. You just have, I mean, when you just say things like reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Lewis, you should know this. Like, it's self-evident that banks don't buy silver, but they're interested in keeping it lower because they know the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system is silver. And then you're like, yeah, like he said, because silver is supposed to be higher. That's right. It should be 1-to-1. As long as he just shows up and says something, then they're going to agree with him. All right. Fiona Whalen, does anybody know what Bix's background? Economist, program trader. His views are on par with ones of my teenage son. Andrew, you like that? Look at that. This guy mug. I am this guy. Rory over the Daily Coin suggested I come on his show and be introduced as this guy. He was a fan of the analysis I gave on SGT Report. Let's see. What else do we got? Yeah, Bitcoin Ben is the new Cliff High. You know what, though, Roger? I think it's because I do think Cliff was sick. I think he's back, but yeah, the new Three Amigos there. Roger Henley. Max. Beto has no policy on campaign website, but he's fundraising and selling merchandise. Fiona Whalen. Be careful here, Lewis. If Bix's central banks are not buying silver, then they certainly do. Roger. Okay, we need a debate between Bix Weird and Lewis. That would be a popcorn armchair moment. I invited him onto the channel. It's not, you see, you can't debate a sentence like this. Banks are interested in keeping the price down because they know if they were to start storing silver as a store of value, they would immediately get blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. You cannot debate speculation. There's nothing backing this statement. How can I debate it? I have to ask him to prove it. And the answer is, Lewis, you should know this. But he doesn't get it, shaking my head. How can you debate that? There's nothing to debate. There's no fact in there. There's just an assertion. Central banks don't buy gold because they know storing silver as a store of value would get immediately blown off the face of the planet. Reason is, silver is the keystone to running the unbacked monetary system. Lewis, you should know this, but he doesn't get it. This guy is clueless, shaking my head. What am I going to debate?
No, I'm not clueless. You are. No, you are. No, you are. What kind of name is Bix? Oh, who's this guy?
That's not a debate. Let's see what else. Scott says he'll debate Lewis. About what? He's going to debate Lewis. Is Salivate Metal here? There you go. You Beto, you bet. Salivate Metal. I'm going to do the rest of this show in honor of Salivate Metal. Let's see what we can do here with this. Michael Goyer. They get flustered because deep down they know the days of metal-backed money are done. Indeed, indeed. Nevertheless, Prashanti girl. A multitude of gratitude. I'm so happy that the Salivate Metal has dropped by. All right, let's see. You guys are talking about architecture. Bozan is here. Rocks of the Woods. What else do we have? William Birkenroad. If and when gold goes above 1,370, which would be a big deal because it hasn't gotten above 1,350 in the last 4 years, silver will again be the poor man's gold and go up possibly faster than gold versus U.S. dollar. Might be a little higher. I agree. That's directionally what I've always said. Not that because I've always said it, it's true, but that if gold catches a monetary bid, which is the only bid it generally catches, because that's what drives the price of gold generally, not could be jewelry. The thing is, if the price of gold goes really high, then the jewelry demand is going to come down. So you're going to have to get a real excessive gold price, and that's where you start to see people say, silver's got some investment pop left in it. Let me go and chase some silver. Roger, I'm a diesel mechanic. We're seeing slowing business with construction is still slowing. What are you talking about? What do you call it? Listen to Bo Zoo. I get coffee mugs 6 for $1 at my local dollar store. As if. First of all, the Smaulgld to dollar store mug ratio should be 85-1. So you should get yourself a real mug, a Smaulgld, this guy mug. Salivate Metal, you better, you better, you bet. That's a Who song. You better bet your life. Cut you like a knife. All right. Salivate Metal is a big fan favorite on the Smaulgld mug stacker game changer comments section. What else do we have? DW, are you trolling this channel? Yep, he's here. Yes, indeed. You better, you better, you bet. Salivate Metal. Some funny comments here. D. Chiron, if you watch silver and gold charts daily, easy to see market manipulation if you watch long. That's true. Absolutely. Oh, Salivate Metal's gone. He's letting me take over for him. Cliff High. Durgesh Patel. Lewis has acknowledged that if investor or industrial demand go up, silver can go up. Absolutely. I was explaining why currently the gold-silver ratio is where it is. Industrial demand is not skyrocketing. Investment demand is down. So why would silver be going higher and higher? Doesn't make any sense. I didn't say it couldn't go higher. I'm explaining why it's made sense over the last 5 or 6 years, why gold has gone higher and silver hasn't. All right. Didn't gold traditionally go up as the U.S. government debt rose? Yes, William Birkenroad. That was true until 2012 or 13. That peg got broken. It was definitely true. There was like a correspondence. Durgesh Patel, at the same time, Bix and team have acknowledged that gold will play a role in the currency stabilization. Okay. Fiona Whalen, correct. Litecoin was supposed to be by the thousands by the end of 2018, according to the Webbot report. Yep. Bozo, when people lose faith in the banks, commodities rise quickly. There's a lot of money to be made in the next round. Yep. And again, when that happens, see, the other comment we got a lot of, I didn't really cover this. it's all about when the collapse and if the collapse. There's problems with that is you don't know when a collapse, you don't know how much of a collapse, and you also you cannot say whether what that will mean specifically for gold or silver. You don't know. But they insist. They know it's happening. They've been saying, Bick says this summer, no, next summer, they'll Shemitah, whatever. It's going to happen. And it will happen, but we don't know the impact, and we don't know when it's going to happen. Roger Henley, these guys' mugs are growing on me. Can you get them done in t-shirts and I might buy one? Oh, by the way, Andrew, if you want to change it, see, what I thought that was an attractive way to write this guy. I thought about quotes and I didn't put them on. When you go to the Smaulgld store, you can change the font. You can redesign the mug. I'll give you the link again right here. All right, I guess I'm going to have to make clothing with this guy. You can change the font. You can change. There's all different types of lettering you can use to write this guy. Or you can write whatever else you want. But that's what it is right there. We guys are heading towards the same destinations through different roads, as Durgesh Patel. We might have our differences with the fighting the enemy, centralization to the league. Well, the other thing is, I've never viewed, and it's annoying something. I don't view what I do as any type of activism. I'm not trying to like end central banking or crush the elites. What I do, which makes it, I think, easier to do analysis instead of rooting for an outcome, is to explain why things the way they are. Someone's got to do that. Someone's got to be an activist. Someone's got to be a protagonist. That's not the role I've chosen for myself. So I'm able to analyze better. And I guess that's why I think a lot of people that follow Bix and a lot of the Silver Pumper channels, they're activists. They're rooting for silver. They don't want to hear something that doesn't fit the rooting part. They don't want to hear. You see, when they say, well, silver is so useful. We could not live our lives without silver. And you say, okay, how much silver is necessary to lead your life? Because if it was really that valuable, you wouldn't be making silver shield coins out of it and stamping stuff on them. You'd be using it for what it's so useful for. Point is, there's enough silver that Chris can make coins with logos on them and pithy sayings and sell them because it's not that rare. Because if it was that rare, they wouldn't even allow him to do it. Yeah. All right. There you go. Bozo. I look at silver just another investment. I like to cover all bases. That's all it is. It's a metal. It doesn't have special qualities. It's not important to humanity. It wasn't chosen by God and his son. It's just a metal. Sorry. All right, guys. Let's see. Oh, Fiona Lewis, you're right. USSR started to tilt in 1980 with the invasion of Afghanistan. It took more than a decade for a collapse to unravel. And also, the USSR, as you know, you lived there, was never a vibrant entity. It controlled a vast area, but Russia, as you know, with the great grain run, Russia had trouble feeding its people, had trouble keeping Afghanistan in line. It'd be like if the United States was having trouble keeping Mexico in line. And it still took from 1980 to 1989 to collapse. So the United States is much more firmly entrenched. Now, you can read stories about the Roman Empire. Every empire ends, or even every just 2-bit country goes out of favor. You just study history. There's nothing is forever. I'm not saying that. But for people to think that they know the dollar is going to collapse, they might not be alive when it happens, though. And they may be wrong that silver is not necessarily the answer to what happens in a collapse. I mean, if you were so perspicacious, nice word, huh? In Venezuela, and you went out and you stacked silver to the roof, and you were online telling them you're stacking silver, probably didn't do too well in Venezuela either. So I don't know. I think people, they're too, he says I'm myopic. He believes in silver like it's the only thing. I don't know what myopic means, but again, I'll have Bix on and we could discuss it. Seems like a nice guy. You know, I don't call him clueless, but I think some of the arguments that he's making aren't really arguments. They're just red meat for the the silver stacking community, which is interesting because he sold off himself on silver and he went into cryptos. See, that's the other thing. I analyze cryptos. I don't promote them. I was never promoting Veritasium or all these other crypto things. I cover the ones that I know, which are the big ones, which are the cryptocurrencies, not the ICOs and so on. I cover gold and silver and economics. I don't get into vaccines. I don't get into climate change. I don't get into moon landings. I don't get into flat earth. Why? I can't spread myself that thin. And also, those are things where the available information, you just have to speculate stuff. Gold and silver, though, you don't need to speculate that much. There's enough available information. I think you can form a reasoned opinion, which is what I try to do. All right, everyone. I thank you for joining me tonight. And we will see you tomorrow night. Well, no, we won't see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Seamus will be pinch hitting. It will be St. Patrick's Day. And maybe I'll bring Bernie back on sometime next week if he promises not to recite any poetry. Have a good night. Don't forget, get your Smaulgld this guy mugs. There's a link there. There'll be a link below this BitChute and this YouTube and on the Smaulgld site as well.